Golf just watched its biggest stars turn their backs on the PGA Tour's brand new format, and the fallout could gut the game's marquee events for years. This isn't a rumor floating around message boards. It's happening right now, out in the open, in press conferences and locker rooms. And once you understand the mechanics behind it, you'll see exactly why these players did what they did. Regular fans pay real money, sometimes thousands of dollars, to watch the best players in the world compete against each other. So when the tour finally opened a door back home for its LIV Golf defectors, and almost none of them walked through it, plenty of people online called that stubborn pride. I'd call it something else. These players read the fine print, ran the numbers, and decided the deal wasn't worth what it cost them. Let's start with the man who built this entire system. Brian Rolap spent more than 2 decades running media and business deals for the NFL before the PGA Tour hired him away in the summer of 2025. He's not a lifelong golf lifer. He's an outside executive brought in to stop a tour that was still bleeding credibility after the LIV Golf split tore the sport in half. And in his mind, fixing that meant tearing down the old structure completely and starting over. In June of 2026, the tour's board signed off on Rolap's biggest swing yet, a full 2-tier competitive model beginning in 2028. Picture something closer to English soccer than golf as you know it. A top-flight championship series, somewhere around 20 to 24 events, purses starting at $20 million apiece, with the 4 majors woven into the schedule. Below that sits a Challenger Series, smaller purses, thinner television coverage, fewer sponsors. Win twice on the Challenger Series in one season and you get promoted. Slide toward the bottom of the Championship Series and you get relegated down. Rolap himself compared the format directly to soccer, insisting it rewards current form instead of past reputation. Rory McIlroy, one of the most tour-loyal players in the sport, still did not hold back. He called the lower-tier glorified version of the Korn Ferry Tour the tour's own developmental circuit. Sit with that for a second. One of golf's biggest ambassadors, a guy who has defended the tour through nearly every controversy of the last 4 years, looked at Rolap's blueprint and basically said it manufactures a permanent underclass of professional golfers. Now stack that on top of golf's other civil war, the golf ball rollback. Starting in 2028, professionals will play a ball engineered to travel meaningfully shorter distances, a move the USGA and the R&A say is meant to protect historic courses from becoming obsolete against modern power. Bryson DeChambeau called it one of the most uninspiring decisions the sport could possibly make. Other big hitters argued it punishes the exact skill that built their careers. Meanwhile, players like McIlroy publicly backed the change, calling it necessary for the sport's long-term health. So even before you factor in promotion and relegation, the top of men's golf was already split down the middle over the literal ball in their hands. Into that chaos walks the question every fan has been asking. What happens to the stars who left for LIV Golf? Back in January of 2026, Rolap rolled out something called the Returning Member Program, a one-time pathway back onto the PGA Tour for any LIV player who had won a major championship or the Players' Championship between 2022 and 2025. Only 4 golfers actually qualified: Brooks Koepka, Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and Cameron Smith. Koepka took the deal, and the price tag was brutal. A $5 million charitable donation out of his own pocket. No PGA Tour equity for 5 full years. No FedEx Cup bonus money. No sponsor exemptions into the sport's richest signature events. Koepka himself admitted the terms were designed to hurt, and he signed anyway because he wanted to compete back on home soil. Rahm, DeChambeau, and Smith looked at that same door and walked the other direction entirely. Standing at a LIV media event, DeChambeau said he was contracted through the season and genuinely excited about it. Rahm gave almost the identical answer, insisting he wasn't going anywhere and was locked in on defending his title. Smith kept it simple, saying he had made his decision and stood by it fully. 3 of the richest contracts in golf, 3 flat refusals, all on the same afternoon. Here's why that actually matters beyond the sound bites. DeChambeau built an entertainment empire completely outside of golf, with a YouTube following bigger than most cable broadcasts get for an entire tournament weekend. He doesn't need the tour's platform to stay relevant, and that changes his side of the negotiation completely. Rahm signed a deal reportedly worth over $300 million to leave in the first place, So walking back through a door lined with penalties and zero guarantees was never going to be an easy sell for him. And Smith, the reigning Open champion when he left, has quietly become the face of a market the Tour desperately wants back in its corner. Meanwhile, that return window has already closed, and reporting since suggests it isn't coming back in the same shape. So for now, the Tour's biggest weapon against LIV Golf, the actual promise of coming home, sits unused by the exact players who would move the needle the most. Which brings us to the real damage sitting underneath all of this. Without Rahm, DeChambeau, and Smith, the Tour's marquee fields lose star power right when ratings and ticket sales depend on it most. Patrick Reed is working his way back the long way, grinding results on the DP World Tour instead of taking any kind of olive branch. Other LIV loyalists remain outside the tent entirely, watching from a distance. And now layered on top of all of it sits a brand new promotion and relegation system that some current Tour players privately worry could punish anyone who has a single bad year, injury or not, with almost no way back up. So here's where this actually lands. Rolap built this entire model to stop the bleeding from LIV Golf and make every single tournament matter again. Instead, he's created a structure that some of the sport's biggest names view as a trap rather than a ladder, at the exact moment golf needed unity more than ever. The ball rollback splits the locker room over equipment. The two-tier system splits it over opportunity. And the return pathway splits it over pride and money all at once. There's also a quieter cost building underneath the headlines. Every young player grinding through Monday qualifiers right now is watching how this plays out, watching what happens to a five-time major champion who accepted the penalty versus three superstars who refused it. Whichever path ages better becomes the blueprint for how the next generation handles its own leverage with a tour that clearly expects loyalty first and talent second. So tell me straight, did Rahm, DeChambeau, and Smith make the smart move by staying put, or did they just cost themselves a real shot at rebuilding their legacies on the biggest stage in golf? And is Rolap's promotion and relegation gamble actually going to save the PGA Tour, or is it about to blow up in his face live on television? Drop your answer below, and stick around, because this fight is only getting started.